Okay, so good morning and good evening to all. Welcome to Bahujan Scholar Academic Writing Series. This is fourth workshop, Academic Writing Across Cultures. My name is Bharat Rathod. I am the Assistant Director at the Office of Inclusion and Engagement at University of Massachusetts Amherst, and I am the founder of Bahujan Scholar, this network. Bahujan Scholar is a network of graduate students, faculty, professionals from outside India, and the goal of the network is to support scholars from Bahujan communities, groups, and one-on-one mentoring, building networks, promote anti-caste research and activism, and organize online events on academic and professional development topics. So today we have a guest, Mariam Amiri, and let me introduce my. Okay, give me a minute. Sorry, I'm also facing some technical challenges today. Oh. Okay, so Mariam Amiri is a PhD student of composition and rhetoric at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where she taught college writing identity and power courses. Her research interests are transnational literacy, language ideologies, and migration writing. Before moving to US, she received a BA in English language and literature and MA in teaching English as a foreign language in her home country, Iran. So, Mari, now stage is yours, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you to Bharat for the introduction and for doing this, and everyone who's here. I am so happy to be here. I'm not great with technology, as you probably witnessed, but it seems like everything is going fine now. But before we start, I wanted to say that you can, if questions arise as I'm presenting, please put them in the chat section. I can't look at them as I present because I'm not a multitasker, but we can talk about them after. Uh, so the topic for today's workshop, as you know, is writing across cultures. Um, And a bit about me. As Bharat mentioned, I am a PhD student in composition and rhetoric at an American university, UMass Amherst. But before coming here to study writing, I received a Bachelor of Arts in English Language and Literature from University in Iran, which is my home country. I am a multilingual and transnational writer myself, and I am familiar with the challenges that we face when we move to a new context with a new culture. New culture, new structure, new expectations, which we might feel like we need to follow completely. So these identities that I hold and the challenges that I saw myself facing led me to focus on reading about and researching matters such as transnational literacy, language ideologies, and migration writing, all of which are present in the lives of international students as they negotiate the expectations and requirements of their movement. In this presentation, I will share my own experiences as well as the theories and strategies of writing that I have learned during my time in the US as a PhD student and writing instructor. Recently, I wrote about my own experiences in learning English writing in Iran and published it in the MENA Writing Studies Journal. And in that piece, I talk about how I learned English in Iran, mainly at English language institutes that were independent from schools and were not accessible to everyone economically. But we also received some basic English education at schools. And these two English educations that I was receiving were totally different. At school, English was mainly taught with the Islamic culture that was enforced by the state, while in institutes, English was taught through imported books and used a culture of Western countries. And in that piece, I talk about how I was learning English because I was genuinely interested in learning about other cultures and what is happening outside the borders of my own country, and also because English is a lingua franca that would help me make money, migrate, etc., which were my goals at the time. And about 2.5 years ago, when I came to the US, I started to learn about the theories that relate to my own experience, which discuss how language and writing are cultural, how different cultures and languages are valued and placed in hierarchies, and how this can affect writers. Reflecting on my own experience learning English language and writing and moving transnationally for graduate school raises an important question. What are the many purposes people have to move for graduate school and or to write across cultures? Is it for financial security? Is it for genuine cultural interest? Is it for disciplinary interests? Is it for family-related reasons, and so on? Because thinking about our purpose can be helpful in negotiating cultures, and I will elaborate on this later. Some of that negotiation happens at the level of language and writing. One example of this that I have included here is Fan Shen, who used to be a professor of English at Rochester Community and Technical College. He has a piece titled, piece of writing and publication titled The Classroom and the Wider Culture Identity as a Key to Learning English Composition, in which he discusses the clashes that the demands of different writing cultures can impose on multilingual writers and the battle that those writers go through to recapture themselves. And this is the negotiation that I am talking about. He says, when I was learning English writing, I realized that the rules of English composition come from the values of Anglo-American society. And to learn English composition, I needed to reprogram my mind with those values. For example, he says that in Chinese writing, we is more important than I. But in English culture, individuality is promoted. So in English writing, he had to write about what he himself thought individually. And that meant moving away from the Chinese culture that he was raised with and redefining himself and how he perceived the world. Another example of this cultural difference is the idea of the topic sentence that reflects the culture of people in the US. Busy people who want you to tell them at the beginning of your paragraph exactly what this paragraph is about. Chinese culture, on the other hand, is slower and it gives you the chance to chew and taste the topic slowly. So you start at the surface and gradually move toward the core until you reach it. This movement between cultures can be challenging, especially at first. Shen, for example, writes that using topic sentences was not easy for him at the beginning. And when he looks at his early English writings, they still follow the Chinese writing culture of clearing the bushes around before hitting the main target. And he was just using false English openings in his paragraphs where he was trying to write a topic sentence. So in general, he sees learning the culture of English writing as developing a new identity and trying to balance it with the old ones. But Chinese is not the only language whose writing culture differs from English. In Spanish and French, for example, writing very long sentences is normal. but in English, long sentences are thought to be unclear. Or in Tamil, as I understood from an article by Suresh Kanagaja, who's a literacy and second language writing scholar. In Tamil, you are not expected to have a clear introduction at the beginning of your writing, telling the reader exactly what you are going to do in your writing. You should just let the reader figure it out. It might actually be offensive to the reader if you give them all the answers at the beginning. In writing in Western universities, I'm talking about the US specifically today because that's what my experience is in. There are some normative expectations. You are expected to do specific things in your writing, and I'm going to share a few of them with you today. One of such expectations is having a linear structure in your writing. While writing cultures in some languages allow for creativity in the sequence of information, in English writing, including academic writing, one normative expectation is that your writing has a linear structure. This is what we call flow. You need to think about your audience and guide them through a unified line of thought, and each part of your writing leads to the next. And also, you use transitions that make the link between paragraphs very explicit and clear. You first begin with old information and then the new one, so that your writing becomes like a staircase that the reader can climb. You start at the first step, which is the introduction or what this writing is about, and step by step, you reach the last one, which is a conclusion or what you want the reader to take away from your writing. I remember when I was preparing for my TOEFL test, I was told that I should write a 5-paragraph essay, introduction that includes thesis statement, 3 body paragraphs with topic sentences and supporting evidence, and a conclusion that restates the thesis and the body. And this 5-paragraph essay structure is an example of this linear structure that is expected of you in English writing. The normative expectations that we face in academic English writing can be specifically challenging for people who learn English as a foreign or second language, because in those classes, as I remember, English writing is usually about grammar and vocabulary, and there isn't much explicit instruction about such expectations as flow or attending to the rhetorical aspects of writing, which is thinking about your audience and purpose. Another normative academic expectation is the language itself. When moving to a Western school, you usually are expected to assimilate to standard language ideologies. In the US, for example, the language of academia is standard American English, which is a specific variation of English that is drawn from the spoken language of the upper middle class and is valued above other variations of English used by, for example, multilinguals. But in academic spaces, it's not just that you are supposed to use a specific language, but there are also specific genres that you are supposed to compose in. And each of them has their own rules and expectations that you need to learn to use. And the thing is that you usually don't get much explicit instructions about how to use them, especially in the courses in graduate school. And some examples of academic written genres are conference proposals, conference papers, seminar papers, book reviews, research articles, etc. For genres, you can refer back to Nefuli's workshop, which was, I think, the one before mine. And the genres that you use are not just written, there are also oral genres that you need to learn to use. Discussions, for example, are very big in Western academic spaces, and this is a genre that was relatively new to me. I was not used to discussion-based classes in school, but I had to navigate it here. And in those discussions, I realized that you need to use specific language and transitions, ask smart questions in the moment, etc. And there are also another oral genre is presentations. For example, you need to go to conferences, you need to do workshops, you need to teach, etc. And you also need to communicate with other scholars, sharing your research, making connections or collaborations, and so on. All that said about the normative cultures that are in academic spaces, the good news is that in the field of composition and rhetoric or writing studies, which is my field, there are efforts to turn away from such normative cultures and to value the various cultures that we have as writers. Tian Donahue, for example, criticizes the ideologies that consider writing traditions exclusive to the US, and instead she invites scholars to recognize the writing traditions of other countries and to learn from them. A translingual approach to writing is one way that writing scholars push against normative cultures and standard language ideologies. It acknowledges that most people around the world are multilinguals in the sense that they speak multiple languages or different variations of the same language. And these languages are constantly interacting and changing. So the standard language ideologies that try to exclude variation and difference are not the norm. The norm is not that everyone writes in the same standard language. The norm is actually difference. And that difference is actually a resource for producing meaning that writers can draw from in their own writings. And in this translingual approach, difference in writing is not readily interpreted as an error. It is actually interpreted for its rhetorical function. And they ask, what is this writing choice doing here? Not only this multilingualism is not a deficit, but also it can actually give writers a double vision that enables them to understand the possibilities and constraints of different traditions of writing that they encounter so that they can carve out the space for themselves within conflicting discourses. And the multilingual writers have agency to choose what serves them best for these different writing cultures that they are exposed to. For instance, the writing culture they learned at home and the writing culture that they need to use in their new institute. In any writing culture, they can decide what writing conventions serve them from like different cultures in this specific writing situation and use it there. They do not passively assimilate to norms, but they negotiate with them agentively. International students actually use cultural resources in their literacy practices in Western universities. An example that I want to share is from a study by Sijia Wang, a literacy and writing scholar who has done research focused on how culture shapes literacy practices in a cohort of international Chinese students in the US. In her article, she talks about the culture of Guanxi networks and how it is part of the literacy repertoire of Chinese students. This culture basically represents a system of personal relationships critical to navigating important interactions and involves exchanges of favors. So it's basically getting help from people you know to get things done in an easier way than formal paths. And in her article, she shows how these students use that culture to transition to and succeed in their new literacy context. And in that research, she focuses on one core participant, Li, a Chinese student in the US who was helping tens of other Chinese students in their education in the US on a texting platform called WeChat. Based on that culture that they have, he had organized multiple study groups on that platform where he would translate class material and instructions in Chinese, reframe challenging jargons or course instructions, and guide others through the genres, and expectations of an American university. These students were using their Chinese cultural conventions to negotiate the requirements of the academic ones in the US. But what are the limitations of these inclusive approaches that are being developed? Although there are amazing ongoing conversations and theory developments to push against normative cultures and invite inclusivity in academic spaces, they might not always be practical in all contexts. For instance, using your own language and your own style of writing were encouraged in almost all of the classes that I took as a PhD student, but it didn't seem practical in that context. I couldn't speak Farsi in a class where no one understands it, like in discussions, or write in Farsi and expect my professor to give me feedback. It doesn't seem specifically practical in terms of publication either. Most journals and conferences are still expecting you to follow the standard and normative rules. So now I'm going to share 8 strategies that I think can help you navigate different writing cultures and negotiate with them, even with the existing limitations. Writing should not be a solitary act. You can and should seek help and feedback. Build community with people from your own field, people from other fields, local students, international students, students from your country, and so on. And seek feedback from them. Most of the time, we are so immersed in our own writing that we might miss stuff. And a second pair of eyes can help you see stuff that might not have been that you might not have been able to see on your own. And even in formal levels, going to conferences, presenting, and sending manuscripts to journals are partly for the sake of receiving feedback. And those people who you might see there might be your major audience for your scholarly writing. And building community is not just for writing feedback, it can also provide emotional support. Living in another country and working in a language other than your mother tongue might feel difficult at times. It does for me. But having other people maybe in the same situation can provide emotional support. Even talking to your local peers can help you see that you are not the only one who is experiencing self-doubt in writings or academic endeavors. It can and probably happens for everyone. I shared the importance of thinking about your purpose at the beginning, but I want to emphasize it now as an important strategy. Think about your purpose in your studies, in your movement to a different location, in your writings. While having economic reasons is totally valid, and I think most of us have it, some people might want to have broader societal impacts or do something for other people. In that case, your audience is not just people in academia or your discipline, it's also the people that you want to impact. And this minimizes the rules that you need to follow and gives you more freedom in your writings. I believe that in any writing context, even the ones that might seem strictly rule-bound, there is still room for negotiation and implementing your own voice. But to be able to negotiate, you need to know the conventions and expectations. For example, with the expectation of linearity, an academic reader expects specific things in specific places. And because they do so, those specific places become moments of opportunity for you to play with their expectations and to use writing moves from other cultures if you want to. To learn the conventions and expectations of a writing culture or a genre, one very useful way is to find a strong sample from it and tear it apart. Look what specifically the writer has done and with what purpose. And then emulate the ones that best serve your own purpose for your writing. For example, if you are supposed to write a seminar paper at the end of a course, ask your professor for a strong sample written by previous students. And then analyze the writing moves that they have made. What sections are there in that sample? What have they included in each section? You can do the and like you can see. I mean, you can go sentence by sentence and just see like what sentence structures they have used. And you can do this for any other writing context as well. But you shouldn't just think about the requirements of the new writing culture that you want to write in. Think about your own as well. We are usually advised to draw on our own assets, our own writing cultures, but we might not always be aware of what they are. So my advice is to find writing in your own language, um, and uh, uh, in your own language and culture that you admire, and analyze it for writing moves. Making those moves explicit to yourself can help you add them to your repertoire to then be able to choose from them when trying to negotiate with the expectations of the new culture that you are writing in the new institution. This strategy is not just for writing across cultures. Even for writing within a culture, constant reflection is a useful part of the writing process. You can keep a journal to reflect about your writing experiences. So after you finish writing something, reflect on how did the writing process go? What worked well? What would you like to change? What feedback did you receive? And what do you think about that feedback? And with feedback, don't assume that you need to agree with all the feedback that you receive, even from journal reviewers. If you don't want to make a certain change, know that the decision is totally yours because it's your own writing. But writing these reflections down allows you to develop and record strategies that you can carry with yourself through writing cultures and writing tasks. And one example from my own experience is that I have realized that I need to write a script for my presentations and read from it to reduce my stress and to make sure that I won't forget stuff that I know and I want to communicate. That is what I am doing for this workshop as well. And it has come through a reflection of my past experiences and my own personality. The question mark in the title of this slide after AI is for the fact that there are ongoing conversations and very different opinions about AI at the moment. Some people are totally against it, and some think that it needs to become part of our curricula. But my understanding of the conversations that I have heard or read is that you should not use it to generate text because it is considered plagiarism and can have serious consequences. But in cases where it is not banned explicitly in a class or where your professor encourages it, you should cite it if you use it. For example, I ask my students to write a statement at the end of their writing and mention in which part of their essay they have used AI and how. This depends on the course you take and your professor. And something that many people do is to use AI to brush up on their text. For example, if you are not sure whether you need to change something grammatically, you can use AI. Miranda talked about it in detail in her workshop that happened a few weeks ago. You can go back to that for instructions on how to use Grammarly. And the last strategy is to use campus resources. Most universities provide a lot of resources for students and scholars. I have linked some examples from UMass, where I study and work. Writing centers are a huge resource that I was not used to before coming to the US. And my understanding is that many universities here have them. At UMass, the Writing Center offers in-person or online tutorial sessions that last 45 minutes. In these one-on-one sessions, students and scholars can bring their writings at any stage of their writing process and work with a tutor toward reaching their goals that they have for their writing. Another campus resource is ESL programs. ESL programs are also very valuable resources. The one at UMass offers a variety of resources, including ESL classes and tutoring sessions to support undergraduate and graduate students with their academic English skills across all disciplines and levels. So, even if you feel like you need help with English, they are there to help you. Another important resource is the Office of Global Affairs or International Student Office, where the main goal is to support international students in navigating their education, immigration processes, and generally life in the US. In different universities, the name of this specific part of university might differ, but they are there to help you as international students. And the last one that I want to mention is the Office of Professional Development that supports graduate students and postdoctoral researchers in gaining technical and academic expertise by offering workshops, writing retreats, day-long conferences, etc. I have attended some of their workshops that were focused specifically on multilingual writers, and they were very helpful. In the last slide here, I have included the works that I have cited, as well as some other resources that I thought you might find useful in navigating writing across cultures. And yeah, that's all I wanted to share. And now I will be happy to answer questions if there are any.
Yeah, thank you, Mari, for this wonderful presentation and so many important points you touch upon, particularly about writing and writing across culture and how international students they can understand the academic writing, particularly in Western world, right? So now the session is open for question answer. Unfortunately, today we don't have many participants. So the session is open for asking questions and comment. Please, or you can print your question in chat box and we will read it aloud and then try to talk about that.
I can stop sharing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lakinder, Kesha, Shailu. Okay, if not, let me take this opportunity to ask questions because uh, I think from academic writing point of view, I experience being an international student and English is like second or third language learner. So I want to ask you in terms of academic writing, particularly for research paper or for the assignment and so on, how uh, the the institution they expect in terms of what kind of uh, you can say expression, particularly in academic expression, they are looking for, because sometimes as we interpret in our language and then we try to translate in English language. So how in terms of the academic expression and particularly individual expression, it should reflect or how one can articulate in their academic writing.
Um, I feel like when I was home in Iran, I was more focused on grammar than when I came here. I think I use Grammarly a lot at home when I was writing in English, but ever since I've moved here, I have never used it because I didn't feel the need. Because, for example, in the writings that I did for my classes, um, I never received um, feedback about my grammar. I think the focus is mainly uh, on conveying the meaning, and as long as that meaning is not interrupted, so the meaning is not hidden behind like some grammatical errors, they don't point it out normally. At least that's my own experience. And even if people want to work on their grammar, there are like ESL program. I know they are there to help, and the writing center as well. But based on the like theories of writing studies, I know that the focus is on conveying meaning now compared to forcing students to just follow some grammatical rules. Yeah, that's my experience. And even I received a standard syllabus when I came here be to teach writing. And in that syllabus, something that the writing program has put there is that do not just give feedback on grammar and stuff, and help their students to bring their own writing culture in their writing and have their own voice. So it's very much appreciated now.
Interesting. Yeah, because this is very important, because international students, they are so much concerned about grammar and academic writing, even though probably in some cases they are better writer, but somewhere they have a so-called imposter syndrome kind of a feeling that because of the second or third language learner, that this is very important insight you shared.
Yeah. Yeah, and as I said, I was more afraid of my grammar when I was home than when I came here, and I've been writing a lot and I've received a lot of feedback. But I think I have received some like at final level of writing on the like final draft that I was like sending to an important journal or something. But they were very minor. It was like 1-2% of the feedback was about grammar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Like, so what happened in writing? Sometimes what we actually feel, what we want to write from the inside, that actually not reflected in our writings. So that is another, problem with the. I mean, who have, not the, belong from the English mediums or coming from a vernacular medium. So this is the, I mean, problem of a student. So like to overcome from this problem, and by relating to what Bharat has said, like we feel a lot of problems while writing. So and even yes, of course, discussions is required and feedback is required to improve the writings. But somehow, like we feel challenges while we are writing in terms of, I mean, academics writing, and when we write we get rejected. So I mean, how can we overcome from these problems? If you have any, I mean, suggestions.
Um, yeah, you mentioned feedback. That would have been one of my suggestions that to ask help from other people, like from your friends, uh, because so if when you're talking, like for example, to your friends, you can explain what you want to convey in simple terms. You're not writing, and you don't have that stress, and they might be able to help you to translate what you want to say in your own writing. And another thing is that I feel like with academic writing is associated with like a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and we want to just write perfect sentences and uh, but at the same time, I recommend that you try to write what you want to convey in very simple words, in very simple terms, in your like first draft, and then try to revise it draft by draft. So the writing process is something that is very much emphasized here in our writing classes. And we recommend that students write multiple drafts, not just one draft. So we start with the initial draft, which is like just write down whatever that comes to your mind and you want to convey. And in your second draft, try to work on the organization of your writing. So like big picture stuff. You in your second draft, you shouldn't worry so much about the sentence structures. Just focus on the meaning. Just make sure that the like flow of information is fine, and that you are just conveying the meaning that you want to convey in a way that makes sense to yourself and to like a potential reader. And in the final draft, in the third draft, which can be your final draft, you can work on like the sentence level stuff. And for sentence level, you can use AI, you can use Grammarly, as I mentioned. And that is, I think, totally fine because you are not using that to generate ideas that are not yours. It's just to brush up on your text. And I feel like if you go through this process and at the same time, if like feedback is available to you, you can talk to your friends. You can talk to if you are at an institute that offers like this kind of feedback, for example, writing centers, use those. And if you go through this process, I feel like most of that problem um, will be solved. And also with rejections, I think sometimes they provide feedback. And I recommend that you track that feedback and see that, so what is it that I'm getting feedback on like most of the time, see that like what is the problem that they are that they are pointing out and that is like important for them and try to work on that. There are a lot of resources on online, like YouTube videos that talk about writing and stuff like that, that you can use. And I think something else that might be there in rejections, like from journals and stuff, is their own like expectations and rules of the genre that you can learn from reading the other articles that they publish. So if you read like their previous articles that they have published, and as I mentioned, just do an rhetorical analysis on that and see like what is where, and follow those instructions, follow those patterns. I feel like it can help a lot. Bharat, I think you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah. So let me get this opportunity because you mentioned about AI and the software, etc. So I've been thinking about writing. So I understand two part. One is about the plagiarism, like you don't write, you just simply put prompt in AI and you get decent or okay sort of a draft, right? Another part is about English language. You write your draft and then you ask for English. But I think my question is in between. So you put some prompts, right? And then AI will generate some sort of like a draft, right? Right. And then you make some changes here and there, right? And then you again put in AI, for further polishing. So do you think then that the institution they can catch that kind of plagiarism because you are not completely sort of creating essay or your content from AI, but you are smartly creating content through AI and you are making changes here and there. So my point is that you are doing plagiarism, but smartly you are doing plagiarism. it's academic dishonesty. But is there a way uh, like institution can catch, or do you know, because you are in the department, is there a software to catch that? Okay, this is like uh, what do you call outright case of plagiarism?
So something with AI is that um, most of the times, like writing instructors, they can catch it because we work on like writing process and we have seen like the previous writings of students, so we can catch that way. Another way is that I think there are AI that can detect like AI use. And I have not used them, but the writing program like has them. Like I think if I remember it correctly, one of them is Turnitin. And in the standard syllabus that I mentioned, I saw that they said that if we suspect that you have used AI, we can do that. We will put it in Turnitin, and it could say how much plagiarism there's there, like AI use. Um, so I think there are AI that detects AI, um, but also AI is very context specific. So in the writing classes that we have, like in different classes, there are very different um, policies being used. For example, I've been trying to bring AI to my class because I've realized that it's here and it's not going anywhere. So at least let's educate students how to use them. But I've been in conversations with like other writing instructors that they totally ban it. They want their students to put their laptop aside and write with pen and paper in their classroom. So it really depends on the context of the writing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, thank you, it makes sense.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please go
Can
ahead.
I go ahead? Yeah. Thank you for organizing this talk. I would like to ask the speaker, as she mentioned about different way of writing and depends on the countries and genre. Uh, so, particularly in the academy, also there are different style of writing, like you mentioned, topic sentence and supporting evidence and all. So, I would like to know generally what would be the standard like or many acceptable way of academic writing, like in the light of all these variations. Thank you.
Um, so I don't know whether I understood your question. So are you asking about what's acceptable in academic writing in terms of style?
Yes, like you mentioned, some people look for topic sentence and supporting sentence and all, and so I understood that from your talk that there are many there are variables in academic writing.
Mhm.
So I would like to know like what would the general acceptable way of academic writing would be if one does want to follow.
So academic writing is very genre dependent. So if you want to write a research paper, it will be different from a conference paper, and the conference paper is different from a conference proposal. So it is very much genre dependent, and each genre has different rules. And as I mentioned, one way to learn the rules of each genre, what's acceptable in that specific context, is to find like examples of that and just do a rhetorical analysis on this. So I don't think there is like one acceptable way of academic writing that I can refer to. Um, but yeah, I think what comes to my mind is like learn the rules of each genre. And for if you're asking about standard American English, that's I so for me it was the language that I was learning in English language institutes in like the imported English textbooks. And when I came here, that caused a bit of a problem because I was prepared for academic writing, but I wasn't prepared for everyday life. And I could not understand different accents. I wasn't prepared for like everyday conversations with different people. So that is standard American English that we use for academic writing. But something that the only thing that comes to my mind at the moment for what is acceptable in academic writing is that it's really context dependent. I don't know whether that answered your question, so you can ask follow-up questions if you want.
Thanks, you got it. Yeah, clarified.
Okay, we have time. So take your time.
And with the rules, like the linear structures, the structure that I mentioned, that like there is this introduction that you need to have that says like what am I going to write in this piece of writing. So it also differs. So for a book, it can be like a chapter, and there's just a lot more going on in that. But for a research article, it will be like a paragraph or two, and in that you will talk about. So this is the gap that I have seen in the literature. This is a conference. This is a conversation around this specific topic, and this is a gap that I found, and this is the way that I want to fill that gap. And then you talk about like what comes next. So I have done this specific. I have used this specific method. These were my participants, for example, and this is what I found. So this comes at the beginning, and then you have like different sections. For example, you have literature review, you have method, you have results and discussion and findings, and then you have like a conclusion that shares like what questions there are still that you think future writers, future researchers need to address. So that's yeah, I forgot when I wanted to go with that, but where I wanted to go with that. But yeah, that's the yeah, that's the general structure, the linear structure that is expected in research articles. But at the same time, the articles that you read, not all of them follow this specific order and the specific. They are at least they are not. They don't have the headings like methods and stuff. Especially in my own field, which is composition and rhetoric. There are a lot of variations in what people do. So that's one reason that you can know that your own voice and your own style can be appreciated as long as you find a balance between what you want to do different and what are the rules.
Okay, if you don't have a question, then I would ask last question. Because we post this video recording online on our YouTube channel. So for our viewers, would you like to suggest 2, 3 books or important resources for academic writing, particularly for international students or second language learner?
I thought about that question and I put some in the last slide that I shared, so they can refer back to that. But now, if I want to share something, I have
Yeah,
it here.
please.
This is a very important resource. I think Miranda mentioned it too, and
Yeah.
I've heard it from like different people. They say, I say, and this is a very important source for learning academic writing because um, I myself had problem like balancing what amount of literature review I bring in my own writing and how much I am arguing for my own argument. Yeah, so here it says like the moves that matter in academic writing.
Bring close slightly. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Oh, sorry. It's
yeah. You, yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Oh, fine. Yeah, it happens. It's fine.
I can read the information. So the name of the book is They Say, I Say, The Moves That Matter in Academic Writing. The name of the author is, sorry, I got this from, it's Gerald Graff and Kathy Birkenstein. Yes. Yeah, this is a very good book that I can't think of at the moment. Um, what else? I don't have anything else here, but I can think about it, and if I
Sure.
remember something,
Yeah,
I'll
no.
send them to you, Bharat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we will share your presentation on our website and to participants also. So thank you so much, Mariam, for your presentation, your time, and talking with us. And thank you all the participants. And bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.